function, being a dependent arising. That is conventional level. It does exist, but it doesn't exist the way that it appears. The ultimate level, which goes together, you cannot have one without the other, it is empty, or there is a lack of inherent existence. That's the ultimate level. If there wouldn't be a lack of inherent existence, things could not exist. Because they would have to be themselves. Again, they would have to be totally eternal, needing no causes and no conditions, and could never change. Now that's ridiculous. If that would be the existence, we would never have been born, we would never die, we couldn't grow. You would be kind of frozen into that moment, and it would just continue. I mean, it would be a nightmare. You see what we couldn't function, because the mind also changes. Every moment, some new stuff comes in, other things get lost, and you forget, and it changes. You know, new experiences. It's a constant flow of. That's all that the mind is: a constant flow of experiences. Nothing graspable, no essence in there. Okay?
Can I add another question?
Wait, I'm not finished here. So, is that clear? Like, can you say something about the other one? It's like two sides of a coin. So whatever is ultimate level is not conventional. Whatever is conventional is not ultimate. But they go together. Like, there is impermanence in this thing, yeah? They go together, but the impermanence of this is not the thing, and the thing is not the impermanence, but they go together. If one goes, the other one also goes. You cannot take the impermanence out. They're dependent on each other. Without impermanence, it could not exist. Same for emptiness. If you start to understand impermanence, you start to understand emptiness. So that's maybe where it's better to start there a bit. Yeah. If this one would not have impermanence, it could not exist, because at one point it was a tree, but the tree is also impermanent, who came from another tree and from another tree and from another tree and so on. But impermanence and existence, you cannot separate it. It's the same. The emptiness of this, you cannot separate it from the conventional reality. You cannot, because that's what many people think. Okay, I start to understand about emptiness, then I leave conventional reality behind, and I just go into emptiness. You can't. They're dependent on each other. Yeah? Anyway, if you don't understand, don't worry so much, because you have to hear this many, many, many times. So is that okay with these two levels? How can they exist simultaneously? They have to exist simultaneously. The same way as this impermanence and the existence of this has to exist simultaneously. The moment this is destroyed, then the impermanence of it is also gone. And the impermanence then does not kind of float somewhere and find another object. The impermanence cannot hang somewhere without an object. Emptiness cannot hang somewhere without a basis that it is empty of inherent existence. Can you talk about the concept of the soul? Is it similar to the subtle mind? Well, I don't know what you mean by soul, so no, I'm afraid I cannot. So I would have to have a definition of soul in order to say, yes, it maybe can also be labeled subtle mind or not. So I don't know what you mean by soul. So in Buddhism, that soul that we think is like it's permanent, eternal, and all this, and independent, that is being refuted. But I'm not saying it does not exist, I don't know. I definitely don't feel my soul, but I feel my I. You know, sometimes people say the soul is the I. You know, I'm never saying, hey, you insulted my soul. Because also when we say my ego, whose ego? Whose ego? My body, whose body? My mind, whose mind? Can the label I possess a body and a mind? Can the label pen possess parts of a pen? It feels like it. It actually feels like it. Because we never questioned this. So, it says in the scriptures, just hearing about that, even you don't understand, it really starts to tear the net where we caught slowly apart. For me, it was this A. I thought like, wow, whoever found this out, because for me this is a real A. But if I can't read, what is it? And I have a friend, she's only 58 and she has dementia, it's starting. And she says, sometimes it's okay, she still functions. She said, sometimes I'm looking at my watch and I only see lines and I don't know what they mean. So who is closer to reality, the one who sees lines or me who says it's 4:15? What is more real? I mean, both of it is imputed by the mind. Also the lines are imputed by the mind. Yeah. So then we see how we learn something and then it goes into existence. Like I said with Namtok, there is the label and then it comes into existence. And whoever looks at this, who knows what it is, says 4:15. If you've never seen a watch, you say, well, it's round and it has like kind of black stuff in it. And something moves. Yeah? But neither one is correct, because also the black lines are just labeled by the mind. Where is the wish to liberate ourselves? In the subtle mind? Isn't that, thank you. I don't think I'm too tired to answer that. Where is the wish to liberate ourselves? In a mental factor. The subtle mind basically doesn't have mental factors. Yeah. So anyway, keep this question for Kelsan Wangmo.
But isn't that permanent?
What?
The wish to liberate yourself.
Oh, I wish it'd be permanent. Then I would put much more.
Someone that didn't find spirituality yet is still looking for happiness.
I think,
looking for
Shafa,
something.
wait, sorry, I have to cut you.
Sorry.
Permanent means never changing. That is the definition of permanent, not eternal. If the wish to be liberated is permanent, it would never change. It would not come from somewhere, and it would not sometimes be absent and sometimes be here. That is the meaning of permanent. But you're right, it is always there on a more subtle level. This is why we do all these things, this is why we move, this is why we learn, this is why we eat, this is why we stop eating, and all that. The wish to be happy, I think that is better. The wish to be well is always there. But permanence, again, I'm talking from the Buddhist point of view, permanence means not changing. There's very few things that are permanent. Anybody knows a permanent phenomenon?
Time.
Huh?
Time.
Time is not permanent.
Emptiness.
Time is a non-associated compositional factor. Time is composed. Permanent also cannot be composed. Because as long as it's composed of parts, now what I say is not true, forget it. But anyway, time is called something that is impermanent because it's past, present, future, minutes, seconds, hours. So time is called non-associated compositional factor. Non-associated means it's not mind and it's not matter, yet it still exists and is impermanent. Has a function. Impermanent also means it has a function. Okay? What else would you say is permanent?
Emptiness.
Non-changing. Huh?
Emptiness.
Yes. And emptiness as a lack of something. Like the lack of elephant on this table is permanent. Because it doesn't change moment by moment by moment by moment. Like this changes or that changes. The lack, it exists. An absence of something exists, but it's permanent because it doesn't change moment by moment by moment. But it's not eternal because the moment I put an elephant, absence of elephant is gone. Uncompounded space is also permanent. It doesn't mean the air and the space like this. It's like The space where I can put things into it, that also doesn't change. Doesn't mean the atmosphere, just the space. Ideas are permanent also.
So if someone,
Concepts are
you
permanent.
said the lack of an elephant is permanent.
Yeah.
So if someone dies, someone loses his beloved one, we can say that this is impermanent, the absence of the loved one that died.
No, then when he's gone, the absence of him is permanent. It doesn't change moment by moment by moment. It's not sometimes very absent and sometimes not. In your mind, maybe yes, but the absence itself, every absence is kind of permanent, doesn't change. Okay? Yeah, if somebody, the lack of this person is permanent. Yeah, of course. Every absence.
And Buddhahood and enlightenment.
What? Is it permanent?
Yeah.
They say no, because he has the function to benefit sentient beings. But it's of the same, what do they say? Laura, please help. Of the same kind, I think, yeah? Well, the moments are of the same kind, but there's also moments. Because the Buddha's mind also meets people and sees. I don't know if he
Even
meets
if
people,
it's
you
not-
know, since nothing exists the way that it is. I wonder what we see when we attain enlightenment. I really wonder.
Don't have bodhicitta, just Buddhahood. I mean, for Theravadians
Yeah?
who don't have bodhicitta.
Yeah?
So when they...
Nirvana is permanent, yeah, they say, isn't
Okay.
it? Because it's the absence of suffering. And then the big debate, cessation of suffering. Then the big debate, okay, can it be permanent because you need causes? But the causes are actually, it's not, Nirvana is not caused, because Nirvana is an absence. An absence is not caused. Of course you can say the absence of this is because I take it away, but that's not the cause. That is just the condition.
So nirvana is the same as absence of something. It's an
Absence of
it's
suffering or cessation of
absence.
suffering.
Absence.
It's the same. Cessation, absence of suffering.
What is
Huh?
cessation?
The cessation is permanent.
Yeah. So they use this example, like the path here, yeah, that we practice, leads to cessation, but the path is not the cause for cessation. The same way as a street leads to the city, the street is not the cause for the city. Yeah, they have all kinds of excuses when they can't really explain this. They have an explanation for everything. Unfortunately, I don't know them all, these explanations. But at the end, if you do want to go into nirvana, you have to let go of all explanations. So you use these explanations in order to get there, in order to leave everything behind. Because the moment you think it is this but not that, again you have dualistic thinking. So this is why the Buddha says, my teachings are like a raft or a boat. It's to cross the river. If you want to go to the other shore, you have to leave all the teachings behind. So kind of he says, if you have to leave these very valuable things behind, then no question that you also have to leave your non-virtues behind, kind of thing. If you have to abandon the teachings for not really existing, then you also have to abandon your negative imprints or negative actions. We have to give those up also. Okay? It's great if you are confused now. Because if you would say, yes, 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 I know, that would not be so good because you wouldn't have understood. But maybe you're interested, and then you go to classes, and this, especially, as I said, when Kensal Wango comes and she will explain. It's very profound, it's very complex, and the more you study, the more you will understand that you don't understand. And then it gets loose, then the whole thing loosens up. Yeah? And this again, we come back, I want to finish with this, and then we do the meditation. First, you give up negative actions. That's the easiest, even though it's difficult. Then you give up your negative emotions. And then you give up all views of existence or non-existence. Okay? So these are the steps. But if you go too quickly into nihilism, then it's dangerous, because then say, oh, but then I can do whatever I want because nothing exists. Now, if you have really understood emptiness, then then there's no problem. Then you can do that. But by just saying it and not understanding it, and then still getting angry when somebody says you're an idiot, then there's a problem. Okay, we make 2-3 minutes break, and then we do a final meditation. Okay? Is that okay? It's 4:20.